What's happening, guys? We're back at it, and today the goal is to see if crappie are actually line shy. We're going to have a jig tied up that is directly to braid, and then the other one's going to be tied up with a fluorocarbon leader. And you know, we may need to find some structure, and the goal is to try to put that line through the fish with both lines to see if the fish are actually line shy. But it is about 11:17, and you know, midday. The wind's sailing up out of the southeast at about 11 miles an hour, and along this process, I'm gonna leave you a tip that I feel like is one of the most important tips while fishing a jig for crappie. So y'all come along, let's see what we can do. So here's our jig tied directly to braid, and then here's going to be our jig tied directly to the fluorocarbon. And we're gonna see what we can do. All right, so here's the same exact bait but on fluorocarbon. I had a different bait tied on, but then that would have defeated the purpose, because maybe they were hitting it because of the color, or a different jig head color, or a different size. So everything is the same except for the line. It's a fluorocarbon leader. We definitely going straight braid first. Straight braid. Boom, there it is. And that's that ghost pearl dirty bait right there, baby. Had a bite. They're following it all the way to the boat, which is crazy. But they ain't eating it. Tons of fish. I don't know what they are, but we're trying to get them. Something tagged it. That's got to be brim. That's got to be brim. Got him. This might be a bass. He come 100 miles an hour for it. It is. Spotted bass. So that first spot, I mean, it had tons of fish on it. We had some followers, we had some pecks, caught that one spotted bass. But we're going to find a different spot and see if maybe we can catch some crappie. But that right there was pretty neat, because we got pecked on both. But I want to say that it was probably brim. There are a lot of the times they'll come up and just peck your bait. If there is that many crappie there, man, they would be fighting over it. You'd catch them immediately. So we're going to go try to find another spot. Let's check this out. I was out here last weekend. It with the fluorocarbon line. What a crappie. Look at that joker. decent looking crappie. Decent. Really good eater too. And as you can see, we're using that fluorocarbon. All right, we got 2 hits back to back. Put this up. Time for the braided line. Let's put some braided line on that. Here it is. Same bait, same hook, braided line. Now another key thing that helps out tremendously when you're out here in open water is current and wind, and we got wind right now. So we'll see if we can catch them with the braided line. Let's see if they're line shot. Real tiny one, super tiny, but that's from the braided line. Not a giant, but we got one. So I got them following. I got them following the bait. They're following it all the way up to the boat. So let's see if we can get them to bite the fluorocarbon leader. Alright, so definitely not a keeper, but they're biting it. The other ones are actually just following it. They're just following it all the way up to the boat when we're using that braided line. That's already 2, maybe even 3 fish using that fluorocarbon. And this is, I think, maybe 8-pound test. So some of the questions you might have with the braided line and the fluoro line is that a lot of guys that I've watched said that the sensitivity has increased with just braided line, and then on top of that, if they're fishing around structure, they can pull that jig out and use that jig over and over again and not really waste jigs, which makes sense. But you know, I've seen videos and I've seen guys fishing and saying, you know, fish do have a tendency to be line shy. So, you know, that's when guys would use that fluorocarbon leader, may downsize in the pound test that they use. But I've used light wire jigs with fluorocarbon and was able to pull it out of some of this structure, so I never really had a problem with it. But I keep seeing it, and I'm seeing some top-notch guys using the braided line directly to the jig, and I want to try it out today. And like I said, we're going to come through the structure, we're going to come through the fish. We may see them out here kind of roaming around, but I would like to see them on structure to really test it out, because they like to stay on structure. But yeah, maybe I answered some of your questions on why they may use the braided line compared to the fluorocarbon, but we're going to definitely check it out. All right, we're at our next spot. We're not in a creek, but we're kind of out of the wind a little bit better, so let's see what we can do. Let's see. We're gonna see. All right, we got one. Feels pretty good. I feel like a bass, I think. Ah, that's a good crappie. All right. I don't understand. There you go.
There you go. Stop.
That's a good eater right there. That's a good fish. And we went straight for the braided line first. There is a huge piece of structure right out here, and I'm just kind of making a blind cast to it. I did see it on the Mega Live, but the trolling motor is on spot lock, so it's kind of moving back and forth. But you know, that's straight braid right there, and they got it. I don't know if it was above them or through them. You know, if it's above them, it's probably, I don't know, you probably can't really count that because you can't really see the line like that, but who knows? They can come up to it and they can see that line. So there's a catch right there with the braided line. And to be honest, straight braid will make the fight feel a little bit stronger, and I did feel a harder thump on that. So, you know, they did say, you know, the sensitivity does increase, and you know, it felt like it right there. But I mean, I've had some really good crappie bites with some really big crappie with the fluorocarbon, so I don't know. It's got to be one of those days to where you keep flip-flopping. You know, we hit 3 spots right now. We may hit 4 or 5 different spots, and it doesn't really give us, you know, a true or accurate, does braid work better than fluorocarbon or vice versa. So, you know, we're just out here trying to fiddle around. And if you had questions if, you know, if it does catch fish, like just straight braid, obviously it does. We just caught that one. That was a really good one.
Somebody blowing me up on my watch.
All right, so maybe that was beginner's luck. That first cast, we caught a good one, and I'm seeing tons of fish, and I'm gonna swap over to the fluorocarbon and see if maybe we can get a couple more bites. If it pans back, so there's the structure right there. And we're going to just slowly bring our bait through that. Just got hit right there. Got hit again. So many fish. Now let's see again. They're about 40. Got him. That's a good crappie too. There he is. It's probably not as big as that first one, but there's one right there. Same bait, different line, fluorocarbon. And like I said, it's 8 pound fluorocarbon. And I like 8 pound because sometimes when I get hung up, I can actually pull that out and straighten that hook out to where I can get my bait back, and then I can bend it back and reuse it over and over again. All right, so I said I was gonna leave you a tip, and I feel like this tip is probably the most important tip when you're crappie fishing, and it's actually gonna be your retrieve. Either if you see them on your forward-facing sonar, or you're not using forward-facing sonar and you know you're fishing a brush pile, or you're fishing an area where there are fish, the consistency of your retrieve is probably by far the most important thing. With a consistent retrieve, your bait's gonna look more natural to them, and if you're using the forward-facing sonar, go with the consistent retrieve, and then if you see that fish coming up to you, obviously you can speed it up to kind of allow it to seem like it's fleeing. But the consistency of a retrieve is by far one of the most important tips that I can leave you that I've experienced over the years that I've been crappie fishing. So work on that retrieve. It does take time. It doesn't happen overnight. So practice your retrieve when you're out there. If you're not getting bit when you're around fish, just fiddle with your cadence. Maybe go a little faster, maybe use it a little slower. but I promise you, it's definitely gonna help you catch more fish.
Very good one. It's a real good one. There she is. That's a good one right there.
Good one. And what do we got? Fluorocarbon. We've caught, I think, maybe 2 or 3 right here with fluorocarbon. It could only catch 1 with that braided line, and it was almost immediate. So you cast it back in there over and over again with the braided line. Couldn't get bit. Want the fluorocarbon, and I think we got 2, maybe 3 fish right there, and they were decent. All right, right there. I was just hung up, braided line to a fluoro leader, 8-pound, and I just bent that hook out. Now, I didn't lose it. May have stretched this line out, maybe weakened it, but then I'm gonna go ahead and bend that right back, just the way it was. Boom, and it's very durable. Now I don't know if you could do it about 47 times, but you know, obviously the hook's gonna get weak, the line's gonna get weak, so just be very, very careful. Just make sure that you know, your drag set nice and light if you're going to continue to cast without retying and you're bending that hook back and forth. So just be careful. Like I said, we're always going to start with the jig with the braided line tied directly to the jig.
All right.
There you go. Threw a bunch of times in there with this straight braid, and then we put it in there with that the fluorocarbon, and we got one. Let's see if we can catch another one. There's a bunch of them down there. Let's just see. Let's just see. Got him. There it is. Guys, I don't know if we tested out the braid to jig or the fluorocarbon to jig out long enough to really give you a, I don't know, a percentage of what's better. But we caught some braid to jig and the fluorocarbon leader to jig, and you know, we caught probably about the same. So, you know, is fishing with braid okay? Yeah. Do I feel like you'll get a little bit more or more bites with fluorocarbon? Yeah, I do. That's just my opinion. But guys, get out there and fish. This is the fall. We're in November right now. The water's getting colder, the fish are getting thicker, and they're starting to kind of pull back into some of these creeks, maybe some of these little pockets that have really good timber or laydowns. You know, you can even just go down along the bank and you'll see some trees kind of laid over in the water, and you know, you can target those areas too. But man, what a fun day out on the water. We weren't out here very long, but we did want to test out braid versus fluorocarbon, and that's exactly what we did. But guys, I mean, my setup is the same. I got that 7-foot, this is probably a 7-1 medium powered spinning rod with a 2500 series reel. I got 10-pound braid to an 8-pound fluor leader, and the other rod is, you know, I usually have a fluorocarbon leader on there, but it was just straight braid. That's 10-pound braid. And you know, it just I guess it's just a preference, but you know, we use the same jig head, use the same dirty bait, ghost pearl, slayer, and you know, I felt like it was pretty even. But if I had to choose, it would definitely be the fluorocarbon leader. It just, you know, I feel more comfortable, I have more confidence in it, and you know, that's what I'm going to use. But guys, I always appreciate you coming along. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Give it a like if you liked it. If you have any kind of questions or comments, please leave them down below. You can always visit my Instagram at bassnwithbuddy.com. I have all my social media on there. So it's got my YouTube, it's got my Instagram, it's got my Facebook. You can check it out on my website. I also book trips, so if you guys want to come out fishing, you want to learn how to do maybe an electronic session or a certain technique, or come out here and catch crappie, guys, I do it. But until then, I appreciate you. Continue to follow Bassn with Buddy, and I'll see you next time. Peace.